How's it going, boys? TKC here, and welcome back to a brand new video for you guys. And in this video, we're going to be detailing my top 50 songs of 2022. I'm gonna be honest, 2021 wasn't very good, and my hopes for 2022 weren't that high, and I was like, you know what? Maybe the genre's kind of taken a downturn a little bit, but Melodic Dubstep honestly surprised me in 2022. Lots of innovative and unique tracks, and the sound design and innovation in the underground was just fantastic overall. I also explored a ton of new genres. Like I got a lot into D&B, got a lot more into, dubstep, minimalist dubstep, stuff like that. So tons of new genres that are going to be in this list, but it's still going to be mostly melodic dubstep, obviously. And because we got 50 songs to get through, I'm going to kind of do things relatively quick. I'm not going to be going, super in depth on these. I'm just going to give like a quick little 30-second rundown of the track, then we'll just quickly move on to the next one. Also, for anyone that's interested, I have made a Spotify playlist of all my songs, so don't spoil yourself yet, but I'm going to be leaving it in the description down below in case you guys want to listen to some of the songs I'm talking about in real time. With that out of the way though, let's hop into number 50. At number 50, I'm going to be going with Roy Knox, Tetric Space, and Ellen Louise, When I'm Gone. When I'm Gone is a fantastic tune that really dives into the impactful melodic dubstep sound. And as always, when you have Roy Knox on a melodic dubstep track, it's absolutely going to deliver. You also get a little bit of hybrid style from this track as you get the full, classic Roy Knox melodic dubstep in drop 1, and then you get kind of like this hybrid style between dubstep and melodic in drop 2. Ellen Louise provides a nice little vocal performance, and there's some interesting elements in the verses as there's like a little nice chime breakdown right before drop 2, and that part's really nice. But outside of that, nothing too much crazy in the verses. This track really stands out by its drops. Fantastic job by Roy Knox and Tetric Space, and I would love to see more of Roy Knox in 2023. At number 49, I'm going to be going with Trivecta, Fake Life Memory Away, Kepik Remix. This track is just highlighted by an absolutely insane amount of innovation and subgenre variation, as you've got melodic dubstep in drop 1 that leads into this like dubsteppy sort of drop in drop 2, this like almost techno-inspired drop in drop 3, and then kind of closes out with the melodic in drop 4. Just once again, subgenre variation, innovation, just absolutely taking this track to the next level, and would love to see not only Kepik, but more artists kind of take this approach to music in the future. At number 48, I'm going to be going with Meds and Nitrix, Future Worlds. Future Worlds is really highlighted by the drops, as there's this fantastic soaring sounding lead that really reminds me of like 2020 Last Heroes. And overall, the drops just really bring the impact as well, with some nice arps and saws as well. While the verses aren't necessarily the highlights, Nitrix provides a nice little vocal performance, as he always does, and the verse production is unique enough to keep the listener engaged. Overall, just a fantastic tune here from Meds and Nitrix, and really interested to see what Meds have got in store in 2023. At number 47, we've got another Kepik tune, and I'm going to be going with Kepik and Connor Clinch, Let You Go. Let You Go was off of Kepik's first Ophelia EP, and this one was definitely the standout off that EP. Again, just absolutely highlighted by innovation, subgenre variation. Kepik ups the BPM to 170 and kind of goes for, melodic dubstep, melodic drum step kind of sound in drop 1, goes for a halftime sound in drop 2, and then switches to D&B in the second half of that drop. I also really like the breakdown section right before drop 2, where it kind of sounds like it's going up a key, which I don't know if it is. I don't have the greatest musical ear or whatever, but overall, it's just a super unique way to elevate your tunes. Kepik had a fantastic 2022, and like I said before, can't wait to see what he's doing in 2023. At number 46, I'm going to be going with Lost Wind, Brilliant, and Undie, How Long. Now, I honestly just heard about Lost Wind and who Lost Wind was like literally a month ago, but decided to go through his discography, and this was one song that really stood out. I've been a fan of Brilliant for a while now, and his super impactful sound really combines well with Lost Wind's sort of more euphoric style sound that he goes for, and overall just really makes for some fantastic melodic dubstep drops. The verses are definitely a highlight here as well. Undie's vocal performance is absolutely fantastic, and the verse production really makes for a super euphoric vibe throughout. So going from an artist I've never heard of to being on the top 50 on the list is pretty special, so Lost Wind and Brilliant, you guys absolutely killed it. At number 45, I'm going to be going with Said the Sky and Will Anderson, Emotion Sickness. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you probably know I'm not too crazy on Said the Sky's new album Sentiment. However, Emotion Sickness was definitely a highlight off that album for sure. I'm not like absolutely blown away by the production or anything like that. It's pretty standard for Said the Sky, but what really makes this track special is the vocal performance. Will Anderson just brings an absolutely infatuating vocal performance and hook overall, and really brings the emotion in Emotion Sickness. Not too much to say about this one. The vocal performance really carries this spot at number 45, so fantastic job by Said the Sky and Will Anderson on this one. At number 44, I'm going to be going with Kadeko and Casey Cook, Sad Reality. Kadeko took a huge step in 2022, diving into the melodic dubstep sound, and Sad Reality is no exception to that. Sad Reality is highlighted by a pretty nice vocal performance by Casey Cook, and overall just absolutely full sounding drops that Kadeko has been highlighting over the past year or so. The drop melody is also very satisfying as well, and just a fantastic tune by Kadeko here. At number 43, I'm going to be going with Blank and Donatella, Stuck on You. The track goes for some super minimalist verses, which I really appreciate. They really bring out the emotion in the vocal performance, which is absolutely fantastic by Donatella. While the drop doesn't go for this super crazy impactful sound, the percussion is absolutely fantastic and is really highlighted by the electric guitar implementation. Overall, just a really beautiful tune and a great way to end off the fantastic Land of the Wayfarer EP. At number 42, I'm going to be going with Virus Syndicate, Graphite, and E-Craze, Paradox. Kind of a misnomer on this list. Like I said, it's mostly melodic dubstep, but Paradox was a truly special track amongst the dubstep scene for me. Definitely the highest energy track I've heard this year, and Virus Syndicate dubstep tracks always have a special place in my heart, as I just really appreciate what he brings to them. And Graphite and E-Craze are probably one of my favorite dubstep duos. Every time they come together, they just create these absolutely insane, super impactful tunes. Again, the idea in the drops isn't the craziest or anything, but the intensity and the sound design really come together and create some just absolutely mind-numbing drops. Fantastic work here by Virus Syndicate, Graphite, and E-Craze, and I always look forward to seeing what Graphite and E-Craze can come up with. At number 41, I'm going to be going with Seven Lions, Someday. Someday was definitely one of the highlights off the Beyond the Veil album, and are definitely highlighted by the fantastic verses. I should honestly be more prepared for these videos, but I don't remember the vocalist's name, but he did a fantastic job, really fits into the euphoric vibe that the track was going for. Seven Lions' verse production obviously really plays well into that, and while the drops definitely aren't the highlights here, they definitely still provide a nice amount of impact for the listener. If it wasn't obvious enough, it's definitely not the first Seven Lions track on this list, and there will be plenty more to come. At number 40, I'm going to be going with Big Gigantic and Grizz, Open Your Mind. Again, kind of another misnomer on the list, you know, it doesn't really fit with the whole melodic dubstep theme that we've got going on here, but I thought it was a really fantastic tune. I love saxophone implementation in the tracks, and, you know, with Big Gigantic and Grizz collaborating, you could kind of expect that to a T. I think it was a collab match made in heaven, and the drops have a perfect blend of Grizz and Big Gigantic, you know, kind of going for this more funky style sound. Overall, super unique as well, and just a real highlight in the dubstep sort of scene for me. At number 39, I'm going to be going with Trivecta and Rabbits, The Loop. When I reacted to this song on my channel before, I wasn't too crazy about drops 1 and 2. However, they've definitely grown on me. I really appreciate the energy that they bring. They also have some crazy funky automations throughout that really spice up the flavor as well. It definitely is highlighted by the verses and the psytrance drop at the end, as Rabbits do a fantastic job leaning into the more dark style sound that the track's going for. And lastly, the psytrance drop at the end is just super fun, and I would love to see Trivecta kind of lean more into that sound in the future. Overall, just one of the many highlights off the way back up. At number 38, I'm going to be going with Said the Sky and Cali Bevere, Gold, Fells remix. There's a lot of remixes on this list, and Fells did a fantastic job at elevating probably what was one of my favorite vocal performances of 2022. I think with Gold just being such a delicate and beautiful tune, I really like how Fells kind of kept that energy for the verses, but then he also kind of adds some impact and a drop for the listener as well. Gold was one of my favorite tunes this year, and I feel like Fells definitely elevated it with his remix for sure. At number 37, I'm going to be going with Vance and D-Rock, Far Away, Lost Wolves remix. Lost Wolves did a fantastic job at elevating the already great vocal performance, incorporating some nice acoustic guitars. The drops are super well done as well. Fantastic full sounding sound design. The percussion's nice, and I really like the sort of D&B style switch up in the third drop. Overall, Lost Wolves had a pretty fantastic year, and really excited to see what he does in 2023. At number 36, I'm going to be going with Rival, Fairlane, and Philip Strand, Oblivion. Definitely one of the better tracks off Monster Cat this year, and is very reminiscent of Hypnotize with Fairlane and Grant, where it features this kind of, back and forth call and response sound between darker and lighter elements. In this, you kind of get the more dubsteppy style sound of Rival compared with the melodic bass style sound of Fairlane, and I think the combination of the two just works so well together. Philip Strand provides a pretty nice vocal performance as well, however this track is definitely highlighted by their drops. Fantastic work by Rival and Fairlane, and I keep repeating myself, but looking forward to see what they do next year. At number 35, I'm going to be going with Skybreak E Hall's Alley Cat Into the Light Mazzari remix. Mazzari went for the Nurko strategy in 2022, kind of just pumping out a ton of remixes, and this was definitely one of those that stood out to me. He takes a fantastic vocal performance by Alley Cat, kind of ups the BPM, brings the energy, and the verses still maintain that absolute beautiful, delicate nature. And then he brings a nice, melodic sounding drum and bass and drum step. You really can't go wrong with a Mazzari melodic tune, and this is just one of those examples of him doing a fantastic job. At number 34, I'm going to be going with Danny Olson, Cinemata, and Casey Cook, Lose It All. Again, kind of another track that came out pretty recently, but it's definitely grown on me as time has gone on. Drops 1 and 3 are highlighted by this huge, impactful cinematic sound by Danny Olson, and then you've got these cinematic kind of arps and leads kind of in the back that really complement the sound. Casey Cook also provides a fantastic vocal performance here, and it really meshes well with the cinematic aspect that the track is going for. I'm not in love with Drop 2, I feel like there's some elements that feel a little empty, but I do appreciate the hybrid style switch up there. Just a fantastic collaboration from these three overall, and I think the Lost in Dreams label really surprised me this year. At number 33, I'm going to be going with Ray Volpe's Screechy Song. Ray Volpe probably had one of the biggest 2022s of an artist this year, and while that was obviously highlighted by Laserbeam, I think Screechy Song was probably his best song of the year. Drops 1 and 3 feature this absolutely classic Ray Volpe style dubstep, super impactful percussion, and sounds overall. However, I think Drop 2 is definitely the highlight of this track for sure. I think that the hardcore and dubstep call and response that they go for is absolutely fantastic and is super innovative as well. Overall, like I said, Ray Volpe had a fantastic year, and this was just one of those examples. At number 32, another misnomer kind of on the list, but I'm going to be going with Muerte Black Belly. Muerte was another dubstep artist that really kind of climbed on my radar this year. Lots of fantastic tunes from him, but I think Black Belly was definitely a standout for sure. Drops 1 and 3 feature this signature Muerte kind of style sound, just super dark and impactful, and it's kind of got a nice lead that plays throughout. However, I think drops 2 and 4 are definitely the highlight. It's got this like almost, I think, 16 bar fake out, which is just absolutely nuts. And then it kind of leads into it's quarter note dubstep, but just the absolute grit and darkness behind that sound is just so captivating. Overall, one of the best dubstep tunes I've heard in a hot minute, and Muerte did a fantastic job. At number 31, I'm going to be going with Ace Aura and Nitrix, Echoes. Definitely not the first inclusion on this list for Ace Aura, I'll tell you that right now, but Echoes was just a fantastic tune through and through, highlighted by some great drop variation. All three drops are fantastically different, featuring a bunch of unique color bass and melodic style sounds, and then you've got a really great vocal performance by Nitrix to top it off. Would love to see Ace Aura work with some more vocalists. I think a lot of the times when he does it, it works really well, and that also kind of spoils another one that's going to be on the list later on. At number 30, I'm going to be going with William Black and Cinema Kid, You're Not Alone. Again, another track that's pretty recent. I don't even think it's been out for a month since I'm recording this, but overall, their two styles blend so fantastically well. While the verses aren't anything too crazily special, William Black definitely brings his nice somber verse production that really plays well into the vocals. However, the drops are definitely the main highlight here. You really get the nice soft forward sound from William Black while featuring the really nice leads from Cinema Kid. The Cinema Kid leads absolutely kill this tune for sure, and would love to see Cinema Kid kind of dive into that melodic dubstep sound a little bit, as I feel like his fluttery style sound would work so well within the scene. Just one of those collabs where it seems like the two styles just blend perfectly together, and I would love to see what both have in store next year. At number 29, I'm going to be going with Meds and Tadeus Light. Meds are no exception to developing these absolutely emotional verses, and this track is no exception. Tadeus provides a really warm, emotional vocal performance that lays perfectly over the really minimalistic guitars on display. Then to top off the track, you get these super impactful drops that, while they don't feature anything crazily unique, there's some really nice guitars on display, and the impact of the 126 BPM, I believe it is, just really works well. Meds continue to prove day in and day out how talented they are at producing verses, and this track is definitely an example of that. At number 28, I'm going to be going with Tritonal and Halion, Losing My Mind Dark Cloud remix. The verses here are just absolutely fantastic, obviously because of Halion. However, Dark Cloud I think does a really good job at complementing her voice and kind of keeping things minimalist. The verses then lead into these drops that are obviously with Dark Cloud just absolutely nuts and ridiculous, tons of impact and great sound design overall. Not much to say about this one, just an absolutely fantastic tune through and through all the elements, and definitely one of the best remixes this year. At number 27, I'm going to be going with Illenium and Spirit Box, Shivering. Wasn't in love with Illenium's 2022 this year, thought he definitely had some good tracks, but Shivering was definitely the exception to that. Illenium goes for this more rock-inspired sound, and the Spirit Box vocals absolutely deliver in this aspect at creating that vibe. These eventually lead into some super impactful melodic drops in drop 1 and 3, something that we have been sorely missing from Illenium tunes over the past couple of years. And then if the impactful melodic first and third drops weren't enough for you, Illenium decides to shake shit up and just throw in this ridiculous second dubstep drop, and the sound design on it is just freaking nuts. Overall, one of those tracks that sounds even better live somehow, and Illenium just absolutely killed this tune. At number 26, I'm going to be going with Jason Ross, Midas, and Dia Frampton, Take You Home. Another one of those tracks that just does everything beautifully well, as the verses are super minimal and tender and really play into Dia Frampton's fantastic vocal performance. These then lead into a beautiful 50-50 split in the drops, as you've got these nice Midas leads with the Jason Ross basses and saws. There's a lot of collabs on this list, but this is definitely one of those collabs that is special for sure. At number 25, we're going to be going with Digital Skies and Celestial Void, Death's Whisper. Was really a fan of what Celestial Void did this year, and Death's Whisper is definitely no exception, featuring 4 insanely unique drops. I guess you could call it 5 drops since it features some psytrance right at the beginning of the song, but 2 insanely impactful melodic drops, one of the most innovative and unique psytrance kind of dubstep hybrid style drops that I've heard, and then the last drop in the track just absolutely pounds your face with some insanely impactful dubstep. The sound design in the drops is just super fantastic as well, and it's one of those tracks where you just really have to appreciate the innovation on display. Fantastic job here by Digital Skies and Celestial Void. At number 24, I'm going to be going with Ace Aura and Voician's Umbra. Ace Aura absolutely killed it in 2022 with tons of amazing songs, but Umbra was definitely one of those that stand out amongst them for sure. Great kind of supporting vocal by Voicians here, but Ace Aura's sound design in the drops is just next level, and the ideas are extremely captivating. I think Ace Aura has probably some of the best sound design in the dubstep game right now, and if you are not listening to Ace Aura somehow, you definitely need to start doing that. At number 23, we're going to have Nurko, Crystal Skies, and Known as Nat, Lost Without You. Again, if I haven't made it pretty obvious on my channel, I wasn't in love with Crystal Skies' 2022, wasn't in love with the album that they did, but this track was definitely an exception to that for sure. Well, I definitely think a hybrid style sound between Crystal Skies and Nurko and the drops would have been mind-blowingly fantastic. The drops are definitely still the highlights here. Crystal Skies kind of brings it back to their old Ophelia style sound with this super impactful melodic dubstep that really brings the energy. However, this track is definitely highlighted by the Nurko drop in drop 2, which again, isn't anything crazy, but the impact that Nurko's sound brings is just, it cannot be replicated. Known as Nat brings a pretty nice vocal performance as well, and it rounds out an absolutely fantastic collaboration between them. At number 22, we're going to have Awakened, Dark Cloud, and Julia Baudouin, Right Here. I think one of the big things in melodic dubstep is that a lot of artists are, trying to find ways to take risks and make the sound, innovatively unique. And I think right here is one of those tracks that does a perfect example of that. The track really brings this nice call and response between two sounds, kind of the more longer blaring saws, and then kind of goes for more of a syncopated style sound in the second half. Overall, just super fantastic work in the drops. Definitely highlighted by the drops, though. I think Julia Baudouin does a fantastic job on the vocals as well, but I don't think the verses really bring a ton to this track. Just really highlighted by the drops here. Overall, a fantastic track by all of them combined, and I feel like whenever Awakened does collabs, he's always doing crazy shit, so would love to see Awakened on more collabs for sure. At number 21, we're gonna go with Mazzari and Fiora, Wide Awake. Make no mistake, this track is absolutely highlighted by the verses. While I really appreciate the melodic style formula that Mazzari tends to go for with the D and B and the drum step, Fiora just delivers one of the most bone-chilling, euphoric vocal performances I have ever heard in EDM. This can especially be seen in the second chorus, where Mazzari just kind of strips away everything in the verses and really just lets her vocals shine. Overall, the verses are enough to make a grown man cry, and puts it up at 21 for a good reason. At number 20, we've got another Dark Cloud tune. This time we're going to be going with Dark Cloud and Isaac Warburton, New Horizons. If it wasn't obvious enough, Dark Cloud had a fantastic 2022 with a ton of enhanced releases, and New Horizons was definitely one of those. Isaac Warburton is a name I would love to see more in EDM. Every time he's on a vocal performance, it just seems to be a highlight for sure. And then again, as previously mentioned before, you just get these absolutely insanely impactful Dark Cloud drops that just never get old. Just one of those really super special tunes that does absolutely nothing wrong. At number 19, I'm going to be going with Seven Lions and Lights, Stop Thinking. Probably one of the very few times I will ever say this, but one of the tracks that's highlighted by its build-up. The insanely euphoric and impactful build-up that this track brings cannot be overstated, and just the amount of enjoyment it brings is next level. The drops and the verses are obviously super nice as well, putting it at number 19, but overall, like I said, these build-ups cannot be overstated, man. They're fucking incredible. At number 18, I'm going to be going with Dabin and Trella, Starbright, Chime Remix. Anyone who saw my reaction to this one knew I went absolutely nuts in the video, and obviously for good reason. While Chime does a good job at complementing Trella's fantastic vocal performance, the drops are definitely the highlight here. Drop 1 kind of brings this familiar sound that you kind of hear in melodic dubstep, but really does a fantastic job. And then drop 2 kind of brings like this weird color-based kind of D&B style hybrid. Overall, both drops are super unique and different, and really make for a nice remix here by Chime. At number 17, I'm going to be going with AU5 and Emmy, Another Way. Enhanced absolutely killed it this year with the melodic dubstep tunes, and Another Way is one of those that fits the bill. Emmy's hook is fantastic on this tune, and I think the choruses are definitely the highlight. However, AU5's drops are always going to be absolutely fantastic like they are. Drop 1 kind of brings the familiar AU5 melodic dubstep sound, whereas drop 2 kind of leans more into like AU5's dubsteppy sort of sound. Sound design is absolutely insane, as you can come to expect from AU5, and it's just a typical AU5 melodic dubstep tune that just absolutely delivers. At number 16, I'm going to be going with Affinity and Nev, Endless, Best of Me. Initially, the first time I heard this track, I was like, you know what? It's a pretty nice, melodic, bassy style tune, but something about it just clicked with me over like the past 2 months. Affinity saws have this super warm texture to them that I just absolutely love, and the plucks kind of throughout the drop really add a ton of flavor. The fills also add a ton of flavor as well, and Nev delivers a fantastic vocal performance here. Super stoked with what Affinity did in this tune, and just overall with what he did in 2022, he's probably my number 1 artist that you need to look out for in 2023. So keep an eye on Affinity if you haven't already. At number 15, I'm going to be going with another Danny Olson tune. This time we're going to be going with Danny Olson and Becca Kruger, Waking Up. Danny Olson really knows how to craft a fantastic verse, and with the cinematic sound he goes for, he tends to go for these super minimalist style verses that just tend to work so well. The drops feature Danny Olson's signature cinematic sound that just feature, again, a ton of impact overall, and in drop 2, when Becca Kruger's vocals come over the drop, the emotion that you feel is just next level. Overall, as I mentioned before, fantastic 2022 from Danny Olson. And again, like I mentioned with Affinity, Definitely one of those artists you need to keep an eye out on in 2023. At number 14, I'm going to be going with Midas, Ray Volpe, and Linny, Don't Look Down. When I initially saw that these two were collabing, I was just wondering what the hell is that track going to sound like, and it definitely exceeded my expectations for sure. Drops 1 and 3 bring this Midas melodic dubstep sound forward, and while I wasn't a fan of them in my reaction video, they've kind of grown on me, and I've grown a little bit more familiar with them as time has gone on. If it wasn't obvious enough, Drop 2 is the absolute highlight of this tune. You've got the Ray Volpe forward style dubstep with a little Midas flavor in there, and I think the call and response between their sounds is just absolutely brilliant. As I mentioned before, kind of a collab that like nobody expected at all, but the collab that we desperately needed. At number 13, I'm going to be going with Jason Ross, Grant, and your friend Polly, All I Need. Again, this track is good for the same reasons that Don't Look Down is. The call and response between Jason Ross's and Grant's sound is an absolutely fantastic blend and cannot be overstated. Your friend Polly's vocal performance is also super euphoric as well, and just all the elements on this track are fantastically well done. Again, it seems like this track and Don't Look Down have a ton of similarities, but this one was also kind of a collab that nobody really expected and just happened to deliver massively. At number 12, I'm going to be going with Ace Aura, Desire. Another inclusion of Ace Aura on the list, I know, but Desire was even somehow better than Umbra. Just insane syncopations and sound design throughout the entirety of the song, and I love the brass horns aspect. That definitely brought the track up for sure as well. There's not much I can say about Ace Aura that I haven't already. His stuff is just absolutely nuts, and you need to go listen to his stuff now. At number 11, I'm going to be going with Jason Ross and Latency, Slow It Down. In probably what was one of my favorite vocal performances this year, Chandler Layton delivers just this absolutely tender, emotional vocal that just really makes you feel good overall. Jason Ross has the complementing production to boot in the verses, and then provides these super full sounding Jason Ross drops that really do a fantastic job at closing out the album. Overall, probably one of my most played tracks this year, and definitely has a good spot at 11. At number 10, I'm going to be going with Trivecta and Fake Life, Memory Away. Now, if you saw my reaction to this, you probably were thinking this was going to be number 1. However, it just kind of grew off of me a little bit as the year has gone on, but still enough to be just absolutely fantastic in general. Again, the second drop is absolutely the highlight here with the guitar solo in the drop. If you can play guitar, include solos in your drops, man. That shit fucking works so well. And then yeah, Fake Life delivers a fantastic vocal performance here as well. Just everything on this track is done beautifully. Number 9, we've got another Trivecta track. This time I'm going to be going with Trivecta and Matlock, Empty Oceans. The verses here are absolutely fantastic as Matlock delivers, again, another one of probably the best vocal performances in EDM this year. This is highlighted by some fantastic drops to boot as well, with the sort of 4 on the floor drop in drop 1 and the halftime drop in drop 2. Obviously with Trivecta you can come to expect some fantastic sound design, and this track fully displays it. Definitely a highlight off the album for sure, however there is still more on the list. At number 8, I'm going to be going with Seven Lions, Jason Ross, and Fiora, See You Again. For all the reasons I mentioned in Wide Awake, Fiora's vocal performance here is just absolutely ridiculous and sends the chills down your spine. The verses are definitely the highlights, however the drops are also fantastic as well and feature some incredibly euphoric and impactful melodic dubstep from Seven Lions and Jason Ross. This track is just the definition of euphoria, and every time Seven Lions and Jason Ross team up, the tracks are always fantastic, so hopefully we get another one from them soon. At number 7, I'm going to be going with Blank and Run, Lights Out. Obviously, this wouldn't be a top TKC list without a Run song, and this is going to fill the Run quota for the list. Run's vocal performance on this track is just absolutely fantastic, like her vocal performances always are. However, the highlight of this track is definitely the drops. The drops are super insanely impactful and feature an incredibly tuned in high end on the drops that you rarely hear in EDM. So yeah, mixing on this one in sound design is just absolutely next level. Super euphoric and emotional as always, and yeah, just a fantastic one by Blank here. At number 6, I'm going to be going with Awaken, Man Cub and Troves, In Too Deep. Again, as I previously foreshadowed talking about right here, every time Awakened is on collabs, it seems like he just does some absolutely crazy stuff, and this track is definitely an example of that. Drop 1 features this super insanely impactful sound that also has a really nice build-up as well to lead up into it. The dubstep in drop 2 is also fantastically well done as well, with some really great sound design and some super impactful fills. Lastly, drop 3 kind of chills things out a little bit, tones down the impact, and really just leaves a nice euphoric drop to end the track. Overall, a track with 3 different drops is definitely going to pique my interest, and this one did enough to put it in the top 10. At number 5, I'm going to be going with Seven Lions, Blast Hoist, and Herb Hello, Reason for Fighting. Psytrance has definitely grown on me over this year, and the Psytrance drop in drop 1 is probably one of my favorite non-melodic dubstep drops I have ever heard. The signature Blastoise style plucky lead that plays throughout the first drop is just absolutely brilliant and adds a ton to the Psytrance. Then you get this like vintage almost style sound from Seven Lions in drop 2 that really takes it back to the melodic dubstep roots. Overall, these 2 drops in conjunction alone make for a fantastic tune, and then it ends it off with a little nice energetic Psytrance drop in drop 3. Just a beautifully done collab overall, and was definitely one of my favorite hybrid style tunes this year. At number 4, we've got Trivecta and Jay Mason, Sail Away. Sail Away was my most played tune in 2022, and obviously for good reason. Drops 1 and 3 deliver with the soaring eagle style sound that he kind of describes it as. Just super impactful, and the sound design on it is just fantastic. The thing that definitely makes this track special though is the hybrid style drop in drop 2, and he really goes for like a unique sound that I've never heard before in the melodic scene. Lastly, Jay Mason's vocal performance here is absolutely fantastic and caps off one of the most special tunes of 2022 for me. Trivecta was probably my favorite artist of 2022, and I'm so excited to see what he's got in store in 2023. At number 3, we've got Said the Sky, Elenium, and Chelsea Cutler, Walk Me Home Blank Remix. Despite having probably the longest title for a song I've ever seen in my life, this remix delivers in every aspect possible. You've already got the unique aspect of the 3/4 time signature that the original goes for, but then Blank decides to transition into a 4/4 sound for the second drop, and the transition alone makes things so unique. The uniqueness of the transition alone, the drops still just absolutely deliver, with drops 1 and 3 being insanely euphoric and impactful, and then drop 2 just absolutely brings the heat with this 170 BPM drum step style sound that Blank does so well. Combine this with a fantastic vocal performance by Chelsea Cutler, and this truly is one of the best remixes I have ever heard in my life. Absolutely fantastic work here by Blank, and would love to see more artists kind of dive into that 3/4 sound, as every time it happens, I feel like the tracks are always really well done. At number 2, we're going to be going with Starseed, Aaron Shirk, Cyber, and Maggie York, Alone. The amount of innovation and unique aspects of this song on display, I probably can't even dedicate to like a minute that I'm going to take talking about this song, but I'm going to try my hardest. So just in the chorus alone, like the track has barely started, you've already got this like super high energy 4 on the floor sound that it brings, which leads into like a Psytrance drop in drop 1. This Psytrance drop then leads into drop 2, which is one of the most unique melodic dubstep drops I have ever heard. The ARP in this drop absolutely delivers in every aspect possible, and then you've got a fantastic lead that comes in the second half as well. This same drop plays in drop 3 with some Maggie York vocals on top, but then the outro of the track is like this halftime Psytrance style sound, and everything about this track just absolutely delivers in terms of innovation. I don't know how this got on Advent. I feel like this should have been a single release with Ophelia, but regardless, we got an absolute gem from Starseed, Aaron Shirk, Cyber, and Maggie York, and I am so thankful that these guys teamed up. And finally, my number 1 track of 2022 is Elenium and Said the Sky, I See You, Fight Club, and Ravek remix. You know, the Rock That Body For Me vocal sample just really touches my heart, and just every time I hear it, you know, I'm trying not to tear up thinking about it. Yeah, I just can't hide my love for it, man. This number 1 easily, for sure. I can't keep doing this, man. Fuck. Real number 1. Number 1 on my list. You probably could have guessed it already if you've watched my 7 Lions video, but we've got 7 Lions and Vancouver Sleep Clinic, Call on Me. The level of goosebumps and chills and euphoria that you get out of this track is just next level. And probably what was my favorite moment of a song in 2022, the build up right before the second drop is just, I get goosebumps literally every time I hear that. And then the vocal performance by Vancouver Sleep Clinic is fantastic as well. I think it does a really good job at diving into this more like somber kind of feel that the track's going for. And yeah, everything about this track is just absolutely perfect. Probably a top 3 7-line song of all time, which is pretty difficult to do as is. And yeah, just an unreal tune, man. And that should be it from me, guys. Let me know which ones in the comments down below that you agree with. Let me know which ones you thought were in the top 50 or what your favorite songs were. Let me know whatever you want in the comments. I'm interested to see what you guys think of this year in general. But I got my DJ set coming soon. We're in the process of working on it right now. Just kind of finalizing the set, hoping that I can get that out maybe sometime in early January, I'm hoping. I don't think it was 2020 levels good, but I think 2022 definitely delivered for sure. I think that we got to see a lot of innovation on display and just some elevation in the underground for sure. So definitely interested to see what 2023 brings, and we'll be along for the ride together. In the meantime though, thanks for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.